This is hard to say out loud. We were together for almost 8 years. Not casually dating. Not on and off. 8 full years of building a life together. We shared a home. Routines. Plans for the future. The kind of relationship where you assume you're safe. Where you think, whatever happens, at least we're solid. And then I did the one thing people always warn you about. I looked through her phone. I didn't go into it casually. I didn't want to be right. But there had been this feeling in my chest that wouldn't go away. That quiet pressure telling you something is wrong, even when nothing obvious is happening. What I found were messages. A lot of them. From a mutual friend. Someone we both knew well. Someone who lived out of state now. At first, I couldn't fully process what I was reading. The tone was wrong. Too intimate. Too familiar. Lines being crossed that shouldn't even be approached. My first instinct was to leave immediately. Just grab my things and walk out. But 8 years doesn't disappear in a moment. So instead, I tried to talk to her. I gave her chances. Almost 3 of them. The first time, I was vague. I asked if there was someone else. She denied it instantly. Completely. No hesitation. I thought I was prepared for that answer. Turns out, I wasn't. The next time, I pushed a little harder. Still denial. Finally, she admitted that the guy had flirted with her. She said he was always like that. That she didn't tell him to shut it down, but she wasn't into it. And at that point, I hadn't seen anything that clearly proved she was fully involved. So against my better judgment, I tried to believe her. Because when you've built a life with someone, you want there to be a version of the story where you don't lose everything. But something still felt off. So I checked again. And this time, there was no ambiguity. No room for excuses. It was all there. The flirting. The encouragement. The intimacy. And what hurt the most wasn't even that. It was seeing her insult me. Talking about me to him. That pain hits differently. Because it's not just betrayal, it's humiliation. I know I'm not perfect. I know I have flaws. But I tried. Every single day, I tried. And realizing that the person I trusted most was tearing me down to someone else. That broke something in me. Right now, I'm waiting for her to wake up and leave for work. When she does, I'm packing what I can and going to a friend's place. 8 years. And I'm walking away. I wrote a note on my phone. Everything I wish I could say. Everything I'm feeling. Part of me wants her to understand exactly what she did. To remember this moment forever. I'm scared. I feel lost. I don't want to do this. But I know I have to. And even if I believe it will get better someday. Right now? Everything hurts. She woke up like nothing was wrong. Getting ready for work. Moving around the room. She leaned in to kiss me and apologized for tossing and turning all night, said she knew it probably kept me awake. I barely reacted. She told me she loved me. Once. Then again. Then a third time. I said it back only once, and even then it came out quiet, forced, like my body refused to lie properly. Inside, everything felt unreal. Like I was watching my own life through thick glass. People always say the hardest part is finding out. I don't think that's true. The hardest part is acting normal when you already know. After she left for work, the house went silent. That kind of silence that presses in on you. I told myself I'd shower first. Just stand under the water and let myself feel it. And I did. I cried harder than I expected. The kind of crying where your chest tightens and you have to lean against the wall to stay upright. Then I started packing. Every item felt heavier than it should have. Not because of the weight, but because of the memories attached to it. Trips. Inside jokes. Ordinary days that suddenly felt important. Our cats followed me everywhere. Wouldn't leave my side. Like they knew something was breaking. That nearly finished me. I kept thinking about the note. At first, it was a long letter. Pages of words. Explaining everything. How hurt I was. How deeply this cut. But the more I reread it, the more I realized something. She didn't need a speech. She already knew what she did. So I shortened it. Something simple. Something final. Just enough to say that I knew. That I was leaving. That I needed space. That we would deal with the practical things later. No fighting. No back and forth. No begging for explanations that wouldn't heal anything. By the time I finished packing what I could take in one trip, I felt empty. Drained in a way I didn't know was possible. I left the note behind. Looked around the place one last time. And walked out. At my friend's place, I finally sat down. She showed me where I'd be staying, tried to make things feel normal. Nothing felt normal. People asked about the cats. I couldn't take them. Not right now. They're attached to both of us, and I don't believe she'd ever hurt them. As strange as it sounds, that thought brought a small amount of comfort. I ordered food later. Forced myself to eat. Talked to a couple of friends just to hear familiar voices. I kept telling myself the same thing over and over. I just left. This is still happening. I don't have to have everything figured out yet. There's a lot I don't know. Where I'll end up. What the next few months will look like. But I do know one thing. I couldn't stay. And even though this hurts more than I can put into words, staying would have hurt worse. As the day went on, the shock slowly gave way to something heavier. Not anger. Not even sadness, exactly. More like disbelief. 8 years doesn't just end in a single morning. It lingers. It echoes. It keeps asking questions long after you've left the room. I kept replaying moments in my head. Conversations. Laughs. Quiet nights on the couch. Trying to pinpoint where things shifted, or if I was the only one who ever thought we were solid. People started reaching out. Some offering support. Some asking questions I didn't have answers to. A few said I should have left without saying anything. Disappear. Block her. Never look back. Others said I owed her an explanation. The truth is, none of that felt right. I wasn't trying to punish her. I wasn't trying to win. I just needed to protect what was left of me. A lot of people asked what actually happened. What crossed the line? As far as I know, she hadn't physically cheated. There was no proof that they'd slept together. But the messages were enough. Flirting. Sexual tension. Talking about wanting each other. Talking about missed chances. About how I was the reason those chances hadn't happened. And then there was the part one still can't fully wrap my head around. They wanted me to know. They talked about doing things and letting me find out. About humiliating me. And she didn't shut it down. That realization hit harder than anything else. Because it wasn't just about desire. It was about disrespect. I keep thinking about trust. How fragile it really is. Once it cracks, you can't pretend it didn't. You can't unknow what you know. I'm not proud of how I found out. Going through her phone wasn't something I ever thought I'd do. But if I hadn't, I'd still be living in a lie. Planning a future with someone who was already halfway out the door. I don't know what comes next. I know I'll have to face her eventually. Sort out logistics. The things you can't avoid when a life untangles. But for now, I'm just sitting with it. letting the reality settle in. 8 years gone. Not because of one mistake, but because of choices made quietly, behind a screen, while I was still believing in us. And that's the part that hurts the most. Not that she wanted someone else, but that she stayed. And let me keep loving her anyway. Now that the noise has faded a little, what's left is this hollow space. The kind where your phone stays quiet longer than you expect. Where your body still moves on old habits, even though the reason for them is gone. I keep thinking about how much of my identity was wrapped up in us. 8 years doesn't just shape your calendar. It reshapes how you see yourself. Where you live. Who you talk to first when something happens. What home even means. For a long time, she was my anchor. My default. The person I planned everything around. And now I'm realizing how small my world became because of that. I don't have a huge circle. I didn't need one. She was my person. That's what makes this feel so disorienting. It's not just losing her, it's losing the structure of my life. People ask if I'm angry. If I hate her. I don't. At least not the way they expect. What I feel is disappointment. Deep, aching disappointment. Not just in what she did, but in what I thought we were. I keep asking myself the same questions. Was I not enough? Was I blind? Was this always happening right in front of me? There are no answers that make this easier. I know I'll be okay eventually. I know I'll rebuild something that's mine, not built around someone else. But right now, everything feels raw. I'm trying to focus on small things. Work. Food. Sleep. Letting time do what it always does, even when it feels too slow. This isn't the ending I imagined. It's not the future I worked toward. But it's the truth. And as much as it hurts to walk away from 8 years, staying would have meant walking away from myself. So this is where I am now. Not healed. Not whole. But honest. And for the first time in a long time. Moving forward, even if I don't yet know where that leads. There's a strange clarity that comes after you leave. Not relief. Not peace. Just quiet. The kind that forces you to sit with your own thoughts, whether you want to or not. I replay moments from the past 8 years like scenes from a movie I thought I knew by heart. Trips. Inside jokes. Late nights. All the times I told myself, this is it, this is my life. And now I wonder how many of those moments were real. And how many were happening alongside something I never saw. That's the part that messes with my head the most. Not just that she was talking to someone else. Not just that she crossed a line. But that she could come home afterward. Say I love you. Fall asleep next to me like nothing had changed. I don't know how someone does that. I keep thinking about the note I left behind. Short. Direct. No room for debate. Part of me wanted to say more. To explain how deeply this cut. How humiliating it felt to realize she was sharing private pieces of me with someone else. But another part of me knew it wouldn't matter. She already knew she was hurting me. She just didn't think I'd leave. That realization stings more than anything. I wasn't a mistake. I wasn't an accident. I was something she thought would stay, no matter what. That hurts, but it also clears something up. Because love shouldn't feel like something you can gamble with. I don't know what she's thinking right now. If she's angry. If she's panicking. If she's already rewriting the story in her head. And honestly, I don't want to know. Right now, the hardest part is resisting the urge to explain myself. To justify leaving. To defend my pain. But I don't owe anyone that. Not after this. So I'm sitting here, in a borrowed space, with boxes that don't feel like mine yet. Trying to remember who I was before everything revolved around her. It's uncomfortable. lonely, scary as hell. But beneath all of that, there's something else. A quiet sense that walking away was the first honest thing I've done for myself in a long time. And maybe that's enough to start with. Night hits differently when you're not sure where you belong anymore. The house I'm in is quiet, but not my quiet. Every sound feels borrowed. Every room feels temporary. I lie there staring at the ceiling, phone face down, fighting the instinct to check it. To see if she's texted. To see if she's angry, apologetic, confused. That habit is hard to kill. 8 years doesn't just disappear because you walk out the door. My brain keeps trying to bargain with me. Maybe it wasn't that serious. Maybe you misunderstood. Maybe this could still be fixed. But then the images come back. The messages. The way she talked about me to someone else. And the bargaining stops. What really breaks me isn't the flirting. It's not even the plans they talked about. It's the disrespect. The fact that she let someone laugh at me. Let someone turn me into a joke. Let someone treat our relationship like an obstacle instead of a boundary. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. I think about how many times I showed up for her. How many plans I rearranged. How many days I was exhausted but still tried to be present. I wasn't perfect. I know that. But I was loyal. I was honest. I was there. And somehow, that still wasn't enough. That's a dangerous thought, because it makes you question your worth. Makes you wonder what you're missing. What you lacked. I have to stop myself from going down that road. Because this wasn't about me being not enough. It was about her wanting something else while keeping me as a safety net. And I refuse to be that. Tomorrow, I'll have to start dealing with logistics. Conversations I don't want. Decisions I didn't plan for. But tonight, I let myself feel it. The grief. The anger. The disbelief. Not because I want to drown in it. But because pretending I'm fine would be another lie. And I've had enough of those. I don't know what comes next. I don't know how long it'll take to feel normal again. All I know is this. I chose myself. And even though it hurts right now, I think that choice might be what saves me in the end. Morning comes, whether you're ready or not. I wake up disoriented for a second, forgetting where I am. Then it all rushes back in at once. The messages. The lies. The decision. There's a strange calm that follows the shock. Not peace, just quiet. I get up, shower, let the water run longer than necessary. It's the first moment in days where my thoughts aren't racing. I check my phone. There are messages from her. Missed calls. Short texts. Long ones. Apologies mixed with confusion, mixed with we need to talk. I don't open them. Not yet. Right now, I need space more than answers. Because answers won't change what already happened. I think about the life we built. The routines. The inside jokes. The future plans that felt so solid they never seemed fragile. 8 years is a long time. Walking away from that isn't brave, it's terrifying. But staying would have meant teaching myself to accept being disrespected. Teaching myself to live with doubt. Teaching myself to ignore my own boundaries. And I can't do that. I don't hate her. That's the complicated part. I still care. I still remember the good moments clearly. But caring doesn't mean sacrificing self-respect. Love without trust turns into something else. Something smaller. Something painful. As the day goes on, I make small plans. Work in a few days. Seeing friends. Keeping busy. Nothing heroic. Nothing dramatic. Just forward. I don't know when I'll be ready to talk to her face to face. I don't know how long it'll take to stop replaying everything in my head. But I do know this. Leaving didn't end my life. It ended a chapter that was already falling apart. And maybe, one day, I'll look back at this moment. Not as the worst thing that ever happened to me, but as the moment I finally stopped abandoning myself. For now, that has to be enough. The first night away feels strange. I'm in a friend's apartment, my cats circling my feet, unsure why their world has changed. Their confusion mirrors mine. I try to settle in, unpacking just the essentials. Everything else stays behind, tied up in memories I'm not ready to face yet. I eat something quick, simple, trying to calm the knot in my stomach. Every bite tastes faintly like regret, but also relief. Relief that I finally acted, that I didn't just sit and pretend everything was fine. I scroll through my phone, but I don't respond to her messages. I can't. Not yet. Every message feels like a trap, a chance to unravel again. So I read, breathe, put it down. Repeat. I think about all the years I spent building a life tailored to her. I became a doctor because she wanted it. I worked, I sacrificed, I shaped my world around her expectations. And now, none of that matters to her. I realized something painful. It wasn't just about the messages, the flirting, or the betrayal. It was about the life I thought we shared, collapsing in an instant. The security, the dreams, the us all gone, like sand slipping through my fingers. But even in the heartbreak, I catch glimpses of clarity. I don't have to carry this weight anymore. I don't have to justify my love to someone who doesn't honor it. I get to rebuild. I get to choose myself first. I spend the evening walking around downtown, watching people move through their lives, unaware of mine falling apart. It's grounding. A reminder that the world keeps turning. And maybe, so will I. I text a few friends, make plans to meet them tomorrow. Distraction isn't a cure, but it's a lifeline. I let myself cry in private, letting out the grief I've held in for so long. It's messy. It's raw. And it feels necessary. Tonight, I sleep alone, my cat's curled up beside me, small comforts in a world that feels enormous and unfamiliar. I don't know what comes next. But for the first time in days, I feel a threat of something else, possibility. It's fragile. But it's there. The next morning, I wake up with a strange mix of exhaustion and resolve. Last night's tears weigh heavy, but they also cleared something out. I know what I have to do, even if my heart screams against it. I start packing more things, not out of anger, but necessity. Every shirt, every little possession I grab feels like reclaiming a piece of myself. It's strange how tangible the act of packing becomes, how it mirrors sorting through my own emotions. I think about her, about all the years, the promises, the trust. I replay her words, her flirtations, her denials. It hurts more than I ever imagined it could. And yet, I remind myself, her choices do not define my worth. I leave a short note, simple, clear. No long explanations. Just the truth. I know, I'm leaving, and we need to sort things out later. No anger, no pleading. Just boundaries. Walking out the door, my cat's trailing behind, I feel the weight of the years behind me, and the uncertain stretch ahead. Every step is heavy with grief, but also lightened by action. At my friend's place again, I try to distract myself, a walk, a meal, some laughter. It's hard to focus, hard to breathe, hard to let go. But with each passing hour, the fog lifts a little. I think about the future, not with her, but with myself. The thought is frightening, but also liberating. For the first time in years, I realize I get to decide my path, my happiness. Even as the pain lingers, there is clarity. I did what I had to do. I chose myself, even if it hurts. Tonight, I let myself rest again. The road ahead is uncertain, but I take comfort in knowing I am moving forward. One step at a time. Over the next few days, I try to rebuild a sense of normalcy. I go back to work, tending to the horses, doing what I love. It's grounding. The routine, the physical labor, the animals, it keeps my mind from spiraling. I check in with friends more often, letting myself lean on them. I hadn't realized how much I'd isolated myself over the years, how my life had revolved almost entirely around her. Now, their support feels like a lifeline. The house is quiet when I visit it. Her absence echoes in the empty rooms, and it hurts in a different way. Not betrayal, not anger, just loss. Loss of what I thought life would be. Loss of a future I had invested everything into. But there's also a strange sense of peace. No more doubts about her intentions. No more waiting for her to change. No more hoping that things could go back to how they were. I begin to plan small things for myself. A weekend trip, a project I'd been putting off, even just making dinner without worrying if she'll like it. These are tiny freedoms, but they feel monumental. I know the road to healing will be long. There will be nights when the betrayal weighs heavy again. But I also know I've taken the first, most important step. I've chosen to step out of the pain and reclaim my life. And slowly, day by day, I start to feel it, the sense that I am more than this heartbreak. More than a failed relationship, more than someone's betrayal. I am myself, and for the first time in years, I feel that is enough. I start thinking about the future in a way I hadn't allowed myself to before. Not in terms of us, but in terms of me. I reflect on everything I've given to the relationship, the years, the sacrifices, the ambition, the love. It hurts to realize that it wasn't enough for her, but I also recognize that my efforts weren't wasted. They shaped who I am today, and I can carry that forward. The hardest part is learning to trust again. Not just others, but myself. To believe that my instincts, my feelings, and my worth aren't defined by someone else's choices. I start setting boundaries, small but meaningful. Space for myself, time for my passions, limits on how much I allow others to influence my emotions. It's uncomfortable at first, but empowering. I also confront the reality that grief comes in waves. Some days, I feel okay. Other days, the betrayal hits like a wave I can't outrun. And that's okay. It doesn't mean I've failed. It just means I'm human. Through it all, I notice something surprising. The anger, the hurt, the confusion, they start to soften. Not because what happened is okay, but because I'm learning to release the hold it has on me. I begin to imagine a life that isn't defined by heartbreak. A life where I am free to love myself first. Where I can build relationships based on respect, trust, and honesty. Where I can finally prioritize my happiness without guilt. And for the first time in a long time, I feel a spark of hope. A quiet but persistent hope that life will be different, and maybe even better than I imagined. Because even after betrayal, even after heartbreak, life doesn't stop. It moves forward. And so will I. I take a deep breath and let myself feel the full weight of what just happened. 8 years. Gone. Plans, routines, shared dreams, all of it upended in an instant. But I also see something else. I see my strength. My resilience. The fact that I can survive this and still move forward. I realize that leaving isn't just about ending a relationship, it's about reclaiming my life. I think back on all the moments that brought me here. The small sacrifices, the constant effort, the long nights of study, the career I built, the patience I showed. I see now that all of that was never about her, it was about me becoming someone capable of enduring, someone who can rebuild. Even the pain becomes a teacher. It teaches me what I value, what I won't tolerate, and what kind of love I deserve. It shows me that loyalty and honesty aren't optional, they're essential. Packing up my things, leaving the apartment, stepping into the street, it feels surreal. Every step is heavy, but also liberating. I feel the world outside is bigger than my heartbreak. And in that vastness, I find a strange kind of comfort. I reach my friend's place, and for the first time, I allow myself to just breathe. To exist without expectation, without pretense. The cats explore their new temporary home, the familiar routines of life continue, and I sit quietly, letting it all sink in. I know the coming days won't be easy. Grief and anger will visit, doubt will whisper, and loneliness will press in. But I also know I'm no longer trapped in a situation that wasn't right. I'm free to heal, to grow, and eventually, to love again on my own terms. And as I sit there, watching the world move around me, I make a promise to myself. I won't let this define me. I won't let her choices dictate my happiness. I will rebuild, stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace the life I've always deserved. Because leaving isn't the end. It's the beginning. The first night alone is the hardest. The apartment is quiet in a way that feels unnatural, almost hollow. Every corner reminds me of what used to be her laugh, the way she brewed coffee, the small habits that once made this place feel like home. I sit with my thoughts, letting the anger and sadness wash over me. I let myself cry. I let myself be lost. Because to heal, I need to feel it all, not run from it. And yet, even in the middle of that pain, a small spark of clarity begins to emerge. I realize how much energy I've spent trying to control things I couldn't, trying to fit someone else's desires into my life. I see now that no matter how much I gave, no matter how hard I tried, I can't force someone to value me, to respect me, or to be faithful. The next day, I step outside. The air feels sharper, cleaner. Life goes on, indifferent to my heartbreak, and in that indifference, there's a strange kind of freedom. I meet with friends, share a meal, laugh. Small, ordinary things that remind me there's still a world beyond this pain. Every conversation, every shared smile is a reminder that I'm not alone, that my life doesn't end with this betrayal. I start making plans, not big, life-changing plans, just small steps. A walk downtown, a favorite cafe, a new book, a quiet moment with the cats. Each step forward is a reclaiming of space that was once filled with doubt and hurt. I think about the future differently now. Not as something to share with her, but as something to build for myself. I imagine a life where trust is sacred, where honesty matters, and where my effort is reciprocated, not exploited. And in that vision, I find hope. I find the courage to face the days ahead, knowing that leaving wasn't just an escape, it was a declaration. A declaration that I deserve better. That I will not settle for less than respect, loyalty, and love that's real. Because even when it hurts, even when the night feels too long, I know this, I chose myself. And that choice is the first step toward truly being free. In the days that follow, I begin to notice the little things I had taken for granted. The sunlight through the window in the morning. The way my cats curl up beside me, oblivious to everything else. The simple satisfaction of making a meal for myself without compromise. I start to rebuild routines. Not the old ones tied to her, but my own. I go to work, throw myself into the rhythm of my job, and find solace in the focus it demands. Caring for animals, solving problems, seeing results, it gives me a sense of purpose beyond the chaos of the breakup. I reach out to friends more. I let them in, even when it's hard, even when I feel exposed. The laughter we share, the comfort of company, slowly chips away at the heaviness in my chest. And then, I notice something unexpected. I start to smile more freely. Not just the polite or automatic smiles, but the real ones, the ones that reach my eyes. I realize I'm learning something essential about myself. I'm stronger than I thought. I'm capable of walking away from pain, even when it's been years in the making. I can survive heartbreak, betrayal, and loss, and still emerge with dignity intact. At night, I sleep a little better. The dreams are less chaotic. The memories of betrayal still linger, but they no longer have the power to paralyze me. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, I start to imagine a future that doesn't revolve around her. A future where I'm in control of my happiness. Where love, when it comes, is mutual and respectful. Where trust isn't a fragile thing I have to fight for, it's a given, a foundation, a shared understanding. I know it won't be easy. Healing never is. But for the first time in a long time, I feel a sense of direction. A sense of self. And that, I realize, is enough to take the next step forward. To live, to breathe, to reclaim my life. One day at a time. Weeks pass, and life begins to settle into a new rhythm. I keep to my routines, focus on my work, and spend time with friends who genuinely care. The sharp pain of betrayal fades into a dull ache, a reminder, not a wound. I find myself reflecting on the past 8 years. Everything I invested, every hope I built around her. It's painful, yes. But it's also a lesson. A reminder that my worth isn't defined by someone else's choices. That love can't be forced, and devotion isn't always returned. The cats, my constant companions, offer silent comfort. Their playful antics, their gentle purring, remind me that life goes on, regardless of heartbreak. I start to appreciate the small victories. Cooking a meal just the way I like it, finishing a long shift, laughing with friends without the shadow of mistrust hanging over me. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, I start to feel lighter. Not completely healed, but no longer trapped by the weight of betrayal. I'm reclaiming my space, my time, my peace of mind. One evening, I catch my reflection in the mirror. I see a man who has been hurt, yes, but also a man who survived. Someone who made it through heartbreak without losing himself. And in that moment, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time: hope. Hope that the next chapter of my life won't be defined by deceit or loss. Hope that the love I give and receive in the future will be real, mutual, and unshakable. Hope that I can finally live for myself, not for someone else's expectations. Because at the end of it all, that's what matters. Not the betrayal, not the lies, not the years lost. What matters is that I'm still here. Still standing. Still capable of moving forward. And that is everything. It's not a clean break. Memories linger. Small reminders catch me off guard: a song, a smell, a place we used to go together. Some nights, I lie awake replaying moments, wondering what I could have done differently. But then I remind myself, nothing I did could have changed her choices. Her betrayal was hers, not a reflection of my love or effort. The control I thought I had over our future was always an illusion. Gradually, I start setting boundaries for myself. No late nights scrolling through her social media. No comparing my life to hers. I focus on the things I can control: my work, my hobbies, my friendships, my health. I let the anger and sadness exist, but I don't let them rule me anymore. Friends become my anchor. They listen, they offer distractions, they make me laugh when I forget to. I realize that even in heartbreak, there's life: small joys, quiet victories, and moments of peace. I also begin to forgive myself. For trusting, for loving, for hoping. For giving my all to someone who didn't deserve it. I am not weak for having loved her deeply. I am human. And humans feel. There are still hard days, sure. Days when I question everything, when the betrayal feels fresh. But those days are fewer. They are tempered by the knowledge that I survived. That I can love again, more wisely. That I can rebuild my life around people and things that honor my heart, instead of tearing it down. And slowly, with each passing week, I realize I am more than the heartbreak. I am my own person. Strong, capable, resilient. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this: I am no longer defined by the betrayal of someone else. I am defined by how I rise after it. And rising, that is just the beginning. I start noticing small changes in myself. Things I ignored before: little habits, dreams I pushed aside. I dust off old projects, reconnect with passions I'd put on hold. Even my job, which once felt like a distraction, begins to feel like purpose again. I realize that heartbreak isn't just pain, it's a lens. It shows you what you've tolerated, what you valued, and what you're willing to fight for in yourself. I don't rush into anything. I don't chase closure or explanations from her. I let the story rest where it is. Because some stories don't get the ending we want. Some chapters just end abruptly, and that's okay. The cats, those little creatures who never judged me, start curling up next to me more often. It's silly, but even their quiet presence reminds me that life goes on. Life continues. Love, in its different forms, still exists. Slowly, I feel a sense of pride creeping in. Pride not for surviving her betrayal, but for choosing myself. For leaving, even when it hurt. For acknowledging my worth and refusing to let someone else diminish it. There are scars. There will always be scars. But scars are reminders of battles survived, lessons learned, and strength gained. And in the quiet moments, when the world feels steady and the sun sets just right, I finally understand. I was never defined by her actions, or by the love I gave that wasn't returned. I am defined by my resilience, my ability to feel deeply, and my courage to keep moving forward. The road ahead isn't perfectly clear. It's uncertain, maybe even a little scary. But it's mine. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm exactly where I need to be. I start planning small things, trips with friends, weekend projects, even quiet mornings just for myself. Every decision, every little choice, feels like reclaiming pieces of my life I didn't even realize were missing. I don't think about her much anymore. Not because I've forgotten, but because my focus has shifted. I'm building, not reacting. I'm creating, not dwelling. Sometimes, at night, memories creep in. Moments of laughter, arguments, little signs I ignored. But instead of breaking me, they remind me, I learned. I grew. I survived. I begin to notice how much I underestimated my own resilience. How much strength I had, buried under years of hoping and waiting. And it surprises me. Amazes me, even. The note I left her, the way I packed up and walked away, it was more than an act of leaving. It was a declaration to myself, I will not accept less than I deserve. I will not compromise my peace for someone else's desires or mistakes. Life is quiet now, but it's steady. There's clarity in the silence, a rhythm to the days that feels mine. No chaos. No betrayal. Just the slow, steady pulse of rebuilding. And I start to feel something I hadn't in years, hope. Hope that the future holds something better. Hope that I can love again, wiser, stronger, without losing myself. It's not instant happiness. It's not magic. It's the slow, painful, beautiful work of reclaiming a life that almost slipped away. And I realize, finally, that leaving her wasn't just an ending. It was the beginning of everything I had been missing all along.